You should watch my Introduction to the Courtroom Analogy video, if you haven't already. Right now, I'm going to give you the courtroom of your mind in action, using a real-life example that's current as I make this video. And I'll just remind you that the point of it all is to assign distinct roles in the thinking process and not to bypass any of them. It's meant to be a simple analogy to follow to avoid the two common pitfalls of thinking, which are clinging to one opinion without even hearing an alternate opinion, and coming to conclusions without sufficient knowledge and experience. Let's say you come across this post on Instagram: "Free Mahmoud Khalil. Take action," ripping someone from their home, challenging their immigration status, and detaining them solely based on political viewpoint is a clear attempt by the Trump administration to silence dissent. Join us in taking action by telling ICE to free Mahmoud Khalil now. You see this post and you want to click like because, well, you like the idea. It appeals to your sense of truth and justice, and you want to take some kind of action. Now, remember, we're talking here about the courtroom of your mind. It's what you decide is right, wrong, good, bad, or more or less important, and so on. This is you deciding on principle who you are and how you'll present yourself to the world. We're not adjudicating the actual real-world case that will be in the courts and which may even go to the Supreme Court. You're deciding in the courtroom of your mind whether or not to click like. And that's all. And remember, the lawyers will say anything they think will pass as facts before the judge in order to make their case. Later, it'll be up to the jury to deliberate over the lawyers' positions and up to the judge to make a pronouncement on principle. So here we go. The prosecution says, "The U.S. government, by way of the executive branch, has ripped Mahmoud Khalil from his home, denying him due process of law. Under immigration law, unlike criminal law, detention doesn't require a formal charge. Mr. Khalil is a permanent U.S. resident holding a green card. He's married to an American citizen. The State Department seeks to deny Mr. Khalil's legal immigration status. Khalil's green card status doesn't guarantee permanent residency if his actions are deemed detrimental to U.S. interests. This has abundant legal precedent. Mr. Khalil is being detained solely because of his political viewpoint, Your Honor. The State Department is trying to silence dissent. Khalil's activities and those of the group he represents, Columbia University Apartheid Divest, have emerged as leaders of the Gaza Solidarity Encampment at Columbia starting April 17th, 2024. Their activities go beyond the expression of opinion, Your Honor. They've crossed into anti-American agitation, including incitement to campus vandalism, harassment of Jewish students, support for a terrorist group, and disruption of the education the American government subsidizes. And so the prosecution and defense rest their respective cases. It's up to the jury to deliberate and come to a consensus. The 12 jurors speak. You know, I have to agree that Khalil's political speech, even though he's a green card holder, it is protected under the First Amendment. There's been Supreme Court cases about that. I would agree with that, but it's not merely speech, as the defense said. It's agitation. It's the promotion of Hamas, an anti-American terrorist group that's taken American hostages. This is a question of national security. Well, one man's agitation is another man's peaceful demonstration. Excuse me? Tens of thousands of dollars worth of vandalism, occupying buildings, disrupting classes, preventing Jewish students from walking across campus, I wouldn't call that peaceful demonstration. Yeah, but Khalil isn't being charged with any of those crimes, is he? He's being detained solely for his political speech. Ah, yes, political speech. Let's talk about the galling double standards of so-called free speech. Colleges are about 90% aligned with the Democratic Party. This is the party that never complains about free speech when Republican speakers are sabotaged or disrupted and banned from campus. But should we support our country's funding of Israeli bombs that have killed 40,000 innocent Gazans? Well, is our foreign policy decided by college students? Your framing is completely wrong. Here's the elephant in the room. Why are college campuses the venues of choice for so-called political action? I guarantee you these are not grassroots protests. 18 to 22-year-olds have barely had time to learn about their hometowns, let alone international politics. It's as if someone with a leftist political ideology said, "Where can I find ignorance, idealism, and the enthusiasm of young people with a strong eagerness to belong to a cause? Where can I find people who want to believe they're doing good, who believe in simple binaries of oppressor and oppressed, and who feel smart when they recite exotic slogans? Why, the university. That's where. It's a paradise of perpetual adolescence where academics and agitators can spoon-feed pre-adjusted ideas to their young followers and then exploit them for their noise-making abilities with a guarantee of media coverage." As a parent of college-age kids, I can say we've poured our energy, our resources, and our highest hopes into our children's education, not to mention the thousands upon thousands of dollars of debt that we'll be saddled with. And I'll be damned if I'm going to send my kids to colleges that don't enforce basic rules conducive to learning, like the rules to keep the library quiet, the rules to keep people from camping out on the yard, from occupying buildings, and from interrupting classrooms, let alone accosting students for their ethnicity. Why should Khalil's so-called freedom of speech be allowed to incite students to shout murderous slogans that they don't even understand? They should be learning what these things mean in detail and analyzing them in their classes, in an environment conducive to study and contemplation, not a parade ground for mob mentality. Hey, let's not forget, we're talking about a man's legal rights here. We're talking about justice for Mahmoud Khalil. Are you all agreeing that the Trump administration is right to deport him from his legally adopted home? I'll tell you what we can all agree on here. The case against Khalil is legal, and we're not legal experts. Leave that to the real-world courts. We can all agree that Khalil's activities are antithetical to the college education we pay for and that our taxes subsidize. So go in peace, Mr. Khalil, but we can't possibly like your campus activities. And now the jury hands the verdict to the judge. The judge says, "Let's not imagine that our strong emotions connected to truth and justice are themselves truth and justice. There's no unqualified good. And it's my job as judge to turn ideals into practicalities. Proclaiming your principles is easy. Applying those principles to the real world requires much thought. And after giving it much thought, I'm going to just scroll away from this post."
And you're asking me not to record?
Walk and take a step forward.
Yeah, I absolutely feel threatened right now.
So that we can start to push them out of the camp. One step forward. Another step forward.